38 F-35 fighter jets and has so far committed money for 48 of the aircraft. The first 4 touchdown in the UK in June, and sea trials are due later this year from HMS Queen Elizabeth, Britain's new aircraft carrier. A U.S. senator has added a provision to a Senate bill that would halt the sale of F-35 to Turkey until Mike Pompeo, the U.S. Secretary of State, certifies the country will not also take delivery of the S-400. "I support the transfer of F-35 advanced aircraft to Turkey, but not if they proceed with the acquisition of the Russian S-400 missile defense system," said U.S. Senator Chris Van Hollen. This move would jeopardize the national security of the United States and our other allies. Turkey's acquisition of both systems would allow the Russians to more easily evaluate the capabilities of the F-35 and detect and exploit its vulnerabilities. That is unacceptable. This provision makes it clear that if Turkey ignores the concerns of its NATO allies and moves forward with this partnership with Putin, it will no longer receive F-35s, Mr. Van Hollen said. Speaking to The Telegraph, Marc Francois MP, a member of the Defense Select Committee, said, "The UK is investing a tremendous amount of money in the F-35, and part of the reason for that is the stealth technology. We wouldn't want to see anything compromise that capability, and that includes the sale of the S-400 to Turkey. This will undoubtedly be causing concern in the Mod, as it is fairly obvious the Russians are trying to draw them in." Turkey has simultaneously agreed to buy 116 F-35 jets, which are 15% owned by Britain, and 2 batteries of the S-400. The country has historically had a turbulent relationship with other NATO members, a situation made worse after Turkey's president, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, felt Mr. Putin offered more resolute support than the US after the failed coup in Turkey in 2016. Mr. Erdogan sees his interests in Syria, where his forces are fighting Kurdish militia groups in the north, to be closer aligned to Russia's strategic view for the country. Confusingly, the US views the Kurdish groups as allies in the fight against both the Syrian regime and the remnants of Daesh, also known as Islamic State. Speaking to The Telegraph in a personal capacity, Julian Lewis MP, chairman of the Defense Select Committee, asked whether Turkey should be allowed to buy F-35 at all, as they have an ambiguous record of support to our Islamist enemies and are forging an unhealthy relationship with Russia, as well as emulating Putin's techniques to consolidate power. On June 21 the rollout ceremony for the first Turkish F-35s took place in Texas, but Assistant Secretary of State for European and Eurasian Affairs Wes Mitchell warned the program could still be halted even if Mr. Van Hollen's bill fails. The U.S. maintains custody of aircraft until they are transferred, Mr. Mitchell told the Senate Foreign Relations Committee on June 26. "We can't be any clearer in saying both privately and publicly, a decision on S-400 will qualitatively change the U.S.-Turkish relationship in a way that would be very difficult to repair." The S-400, known in NATO terminology as the SA-21 Growler, is an anti-aircraft weapon system in service with the Russian military since 2007. It can operate with 4 different types of missiles with ranges from 40 kilometers to an estimated 400 kilometers, to create a multi-layered system. The longest-range missile has yet to enter service. "It is typical of the Soviet-type approach," says Douglas Berry, senior fellow for military aerospace at the International Institute for Strategic Studies, a think tank. "They want to start shooting at you as far away as they can and whittle down the number of attacking aircraft." The long-range missiles would be able to target larger aircraft such as tankers and airborne early warning and control platforms at extended range. These aircraft have large radar cross-sections. Smaller aircraft, such as fighter jets, are harder to detect but are still not completely safe.